Nitesh, it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much,
A
Alan.
real pleasure working with Virtusa all these years, and we're looking forward to doing tremendous things together.
No, absolutely. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you so much for hosting me. And I mean, like, Virtusa and Pega have a relationship which is more than 25 years now. So we are extremely proud of that relationship, all the way from engineering to implementation to now joint go-to-market. So really, really great to be here and to talk to you and to listen your perspectives in terms of what you are seeing and what we are seeing in the marketplace. And
Well, I think we're all seeing a lot of AI and agentic talk going on, and I noted that Virtusa recently won an award.
yes, absolutely.
For your AI work, and I think that's terrific because AI is so central to what is going to change the business, I think, in ways unlike we've ever seen before, to tell you the truth.
No, totally. I think, look, our strategy has been very simple, right? We are not a platform player, and we don't intend to be, because that's probably Pega's job, right? To create the next set of platforms. But the way we have approached our AI strategy is really to set up a set of productized solutions, right? Which kind of sit and can get orchestrated on multiple different platforms, right? Whether it is on SDLC, whether it is on enterprise functions, whether it is on line of business use cases. So that's really the approach that we've taken, and we are seeing a lot of resonance in the marketplace. So I think that's probably why we get rated so highly right now in the through the analysts.
And we want a platform that you can use to achieve that, both with better quality, because I think a lot of time people focus on the speed of AI, but if you use the AI right, you get extremely good learnings and knowledge and understanding, and at the same time, you also get it fast. And that's part of what can really make, I think, businesses more responsive to their customers, able to save money in ways that they didn't think was going to be possible, and be able to grow whenever that's needed.
I think, Alan, that's a great point, and I would like to get your perspectives. Look, we work in a lot of heavily regulated industries, whether it's financial services or healthcare or life sciences and so on. And there is this huge debate about autonomous agents versus directed agents, and how do you go from being assistive to prescriptive to directive? How are you seeing that? And there's a lot of kind of nervousness, I would say, while speed and quality are important, but so is control. So how are you seeing about it, and how is Pega handling this kind of a...
Well, we're actually handling it very differently than we see the other players handle it. There are a lot of companies that say, hey, use the miracle of LLMs, set them free, create these enormous libraries of maybe even thousands of prompts that will agentically drive parts of your business. And maybe they can tell you what they've done after they do it, but they actually don't tell you what they're going to do before they do it. And when we take a look at not just regulated industries, but any industry in which you'd kind of like to know what you were doing, you'd kind of like to perfect a set of best practices, we think that's really backwards. And in 2022, when the ChatGPT really hit, and we got super deeply involved in it, we made a couple of really important strategic decisions. One of them was that we were going to take vector database technology, which is an LLM style technology, to codify our knowledge and to make it so that our best practices could be incorporated in how we further use AI. And then we created this thing called Blueprint, which is able to use those best practices and that knowledge with the information from the client and put those together to be able to really define highly precise and specific workflows that you can look at, that know how to integrate with back-end systems, that know how to actually do things, and use those workflows that are created at design time as a way to manage the agents at runtime. And so this bifurcation of a really, really highly LLM-driven agentic design time, coupled with at runtime using the LLM for things that it does well but reliably, things like translation or things like reading a document, I think has turned out perfectly for our customers in terms of being able to blend the reasoning and the power, but also intrinsically control and constrain it.
So it's almost like you're configuring agents in design time and actually getting them to a point where they are really checked, balanced, directed, the context coming in clearly.
And you know, I think that businesses in general are really a collection of processes and decisions. And what we say is use the AI to enumerate and to create the library of these processes and decisions, and then make it easy at runtime for the AI to just kind of add whatever little tweaks are needed.
No, I totally agree, and I think, Alan, it will also be good to understand, because I think with Blueprint, I feel like there are two other distinct advantages. One is that Pega is now able to provide clients context to get merged with your own best practices, right? That's number one. And the second piece, at least to me, what I feel is that there is a degree of separation that you could still use Blueprint in cases where even Pega underlying platform does not exist. So I think both of those, I feel, are kind of accelerators, if you will, towards the business transformation or legacy modernization or any of the archetypes that, or even new product development, which clients would like to go for.
And I think that's right on target, and especially true now that we've created partner branded blueprints, where Virtusa themselves has created a vector database where you're able to put your IP. We can't even see it. This is really proprietary and private to you. And if a Virtusa employee uses Blueprint, it will incorporate the intellectual property that you value and that is private to you and that would be used just with you and that client. And I think that lets our partners really bring their richness of history and, as you said, the specialization you may have in certain areas, and feather it in to Pega's experience, the knowledge from the internet, and all the other things that Blueprint brings together.
No, absolutely, and I think we are seeing the advantage of that already in several of the workshops that we are doing with our clients, right? Because now we are able to almost on real time sit down with the client, look at a problem, solve it, or create the solution with them, co-create the solution with them, because all that context, all that knowledge is there, and we don't need tons and tons of people, to bring in and to create documentation and so on. But it's really about jointly sitting together, creating a solution, and then off you go. So I think that's great.
I'd love to show you some things we released just this week.
That will be great. I would love to see
the ability to do really a vibe-ish experience with Blueprint. Would you like to go build an application?
Yes, absolutely. Let's do that.
Hey, great.
Thank you.
So come around and check this out. Let me explain what we're seeing here. This is Pega.com. So this is our standard Pega site. Anybody can come. And because this has been logged on with a Virtusa ID, you get to see the Virtusa intellectual property incorporated in this as well. And you call what you do domain encapsulation for your transformation here as well. And so this is something that you wouldn't see with any other partner or with Pega. This is private to you. And here you've got the Blueprint dashboard. Allows you to see blueprints that you and your team have been making, and allows you to share them between them and edit them. But let's create a new one. I can show you some of the new features that we just added.
We'd love to see that.
So hit create a blueprint, and of course, Blueprint is free. So you're able to use this and take advantage of it to really help use generative AI to prompt best practices and good thinking in conjunction with your IP and Pega's IP.
And this is quite similar to the point that you were mentioning, that this is the design time where we are actually kind of setting up those.
That's exactly right. You're able to really, really design it. What do you want to do? Banking?
Sure. Yeah, let's go.
It's been a popular one for us always here as well, and maybe corporate banking, and what function you want to do.
Maybe we can do onboarding, maybe?
Yeah, onboarding is always a good one, yeah. And say next. What's the purpose of this application? Is it client onboarding for financial services? Sure. It's going to propose a set of descriptions. All of this is live. All of this is being driven by the LLM.
Yeah.
And in doing this, what it does is it lets you change it. And if you've got bank-specific documents or things particular to an organization, it will allow you to incorporate that. And then let's just pick an organization. It's only going to access public information for this sort of thing here. Or pick Citibank.
Yeah, that's fine too.
One of my favorites. And we'll go and hit generate. With just that information, it's able to envision what an optimized onboarding process will be, bring your IP, bring our IP together, and it goes through and it analyzes the requirements, it researches best practices, it goes out to the internet to see what can I know about this from industry standard places, creates the data model, and it's identified that these are the things that you'd want to do if you were in the business of client boarding for financial services.
That's pretty impressive.
You know, let's say I want to go just to the next step. And I say, okay, for each one of those types of work, global KYC, screening, adverse media, here are the stages and steps that I would go through to be able to do that. And this is something that really exactly matches how Pega works.
Right.
So this will become a running part of the engine. And it doesn't just create the workflows, it creates the proposed data model for you here as well, and it will also create business rules for things that require business rules to be able to do them and to execute them.
And all of this based on just the simple prompting that we did and the proprietary information that's already there inside Pega and inside our domain encapsulation.
That is absolutely correct. And we have added vibe capabilities to this. So what I'm able to do is I can drag and drop and I can change, and all of the information I can edit, and I can, here, if I want to just incorporate here an AI agent to make this decision for me, I can just do that as simply as that, and when it loads into Pega, it's going to create the bindings for that AI agent here as well. But let's say I wanted to do something like add a field to indicate when the proposal is due. I do that, and it's going to look at all the information in the case, going to do everything else, and it's going to double check the results, and it says add proposal, yep. And it will go ahead and do that.
I think that's really powerful. And also, I think given Pega's deep expertise in some of these processes, right, I think the underlying out-of-box domain knowledge which Pega has, which Virtusa has, especially let's say in financial services, I think gives it a lot of richness right from the get-go.
Right from the start here as well. Now it also knows that you're going to have to talk to certain internal and external systems. You might talk to the Pega system, but you're also going to perhaps have a system of the households, the records that you have, and the products that you have, and the different types of customers and parties you have. And it allows you to control and maintain those. And of course, all of these themselves come with their own, once again, data model, so that it's really creating the real full rich system for you, but still putting it at your fingertips and letting you, modify and adjust it. And if you've got a database schema that you want to use instead of these so that it matches the way the business works, you can simply upload it and the AI will automatically reconcile that and make that work. So you've built an entire business application. You haven't seen a screen yet.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you don't need screens, it just will work, just will run. If you want to call this as an MCP service from another agent, it will just work, it will just run. But people like screens.
Yeah.
And so what we say is, hey, look, if you hit this preview button, it will design, I'm going to close the AI assistant for a second, it will design how a back office desktop user would see these different types of pieces of work and how they would handle it. It's created synthetic data so that you can evaluate how this will work, and you can make sure that it looks and feels the way you want it to and has the right sorts of things. And it creates this not just for a desktop application, but for a mobile application for your internal employees. If you've got Salesforce, it will actually create the Apex sections to just snap right into Salesforce. If you're using this in the contact center, it will actually create the screen pop and the other key elements that you have here as well. And also for web self-service. And all of these are built off that same design we just did. So they're always in sync. What's really interesting is with this vibe capability, I can actually tell the system that I wanted to do certain things, and it will do them. Let's assume I wanted to put a new field here as a primary field that would say, hey, when this must be done. You can see
Yeah, there it
that
goes.
it adds the due date
Wonderful.
to it,
Yeah.
and it's going to update the data model as well. So you have this whole way to interact and just completely improve the way that business and IT all work together and collaborate. But I think maybe the most interesting thing of late is this conversational self-service. Everyone is talking about agents. Everyone is talking about conversational interfaces. And in Pega, every single workflow you do is inherently agentic. You don't have to go create extra prompts. Our agent knows enough to understand and respond to the workflow. So if I were to say, for instance, that I want to add me as a new customer, it's going to figure out what the right workflow is, and it's going to then go ahead. I can help you with adding that. Get started. It's figured out I need a full name, primary address, and contact information.
Wonderful.
And what it's doing is behind the scenes, it will actually show you that it's created this new process. And as I go ahead and I start saying things, first name is Joe, it will make sure that it's prompting me in editing, and I didn't have to, so it knows it only got partial data.
Yeah.
It's going to really use that workflow definition to drive what you do. And the cool thing about that is all my existing customers with their hundreds of thousands of workflows that they have now all suddenly become fully agentic to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So the work we've done together historically now hits, I think, the latest standards of MCP A2A and human interactive agents. So from our point of view, this really revolutionizes the building process here.
And I think it's quick, it's managed, high quality, and on the real time you could configure, right? I think there are many advantages. I have though one question, Alan. A lot of enterprises have multiple different integration points for this workflow to be processed, right?
Yes.
From system to system, we talk about swivel chair, we talk about all of those things. I think it'll be great for me to understand how that integration points or multiple system integrations are managed through this blueprint.
Yeah, so they're managed in two ways. One way that it manages every one of these steps can be an integration. So if you wanted to, say, for example, produce the welcome package, and the welcome package was an integration to a system that produced some fancy document and would have sent it, I can simply come in here. I wanted to do one of these. I say notify receipt here and send a message, or notify the customer of RFI closure. If I edit this, I can not just have the message constructed and have the AI actually help create the message. If I wanted to change this, for example, to an automation, which was an external system that I called, or I wanted to call an AI agent for that step, all of those can be put in there, and then when this gets imported into the Pega system, you'll have the chance to configure it. The other way is that this can be called automatically by a REST service or an API, something we call the Digital Experience API, or you can queue messages to it. You can send emails to it. And the system will just automatically use those same workflows.
So that's really the open architecture of Blueprint, which allows it to be
to be incorporated. It can be. It doesn't have to be something monolithic. It should be something very small, maybe doing just a piece of what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
So to my mind, this fits very much well in with the future of where things are going. The idea of a fabric, as it were, that is constructed of workflows so you have predictability, but is able to interoperate with all the different sorts of things.
I really feel like this is great, because I think not only does it leverage the intrinsic power of Pega, but also Virtusa's domain encapsulation. But more importantly, I think you can use it for any project, any new product development, legacy modernization, and does not have to necessarily be bound into the Pega's platform, but sit with customer and can go across their enterprise. That's really the power which we need to kind of harness going forward.
I especially think any legacy transformation is a perfect way to envision and conceive and to think about it.
And I think with agentic AI, legacy transformation has come to a point where it does not need to be high cost, high time, because oftentimes legacy modernization has not been done because it's a tech to tech project, and there is never enough funding available from business side.
Well, the other thing is what this does, which I find super exciting, is it doesn't just take your current legacy and repot it onto a different computer language. It actually will improve the processes, improve the outputs. So the whole key here, I think, is not just the speed, which has markedly increased, but also the improvement in quality and the safety you get by being guided so powerfully by the LLM at design time, which to my mind is a huge difference.
And of course, legacy modernization is so important right now that as enterprises want to adopt more and more of AI, you can't adopt that on legacy platforms. You need to move that first to the modernization. And what better way to do than to use Blueprint, intrinsically to drive that.
And this is why we're so excited. We're thrilled with the Virtusa relationship and the data that you've put in. And I just want to thank you for all the great work your team has done for the years and for the things we're going to be doing together.
Oh, thank you. And this is great. Thank you so much.
Terrific.
Thank you.